some of you may have experienced standards-based grading before, but I want to do a little summary of how we're going to use it in physics class, because it may be different and new for some of you. First of all, I don't want you to be intimidated by this. It is nothing really new. It's actually just a new focus on how to report how you're doing in class. It's supposed to be a communication device, right? I actually haven't changed anything about how I grade at all. The way I grade is the way I always grade, have graded for 20-something years, but what has changed is instead of getting a grade on an assignment, like lab 1 and lab 2 and lab 3, like and having all 30 labs like that, all I do now is say how you're doing on this lab skill. So how well are you doing on experimental design? How well are you doing on professionalism? How well are you doing on your data collection and analysis? How well are you doing on your scientific explanations? So you'll find out, like, where are you strong and where are you weak? Not like, oh, I got a C on a lab and that's the end of it. So it's a way of reporting that communicates to you what your strengths and weaknesses are so that you can improve. My goal is for you to do well and to leave this class having learned lots of skills. And there aren't, a lot of things you have to know, actually. They can be kind of lumped together in 8 skills, right? What I call process standards. And then there's a bunch of content standards. So let go with each unit. There's one per unit. So if we do 8 units, you'll have 8 content skills, content standards. If we have 10 units, then we'll do 10. Depends on the pacing of the class. So you're going to be focusing on improving your skills, demonstrating growth, and learning. Okay? And it doesn't happen all at once. Learning happens over time. So this technique or this strategy allows me to assess you gradually over the course of 10 months. This is not a sprint. You don't have to learn everything today, right? You have to learn things over time. And that's my goal for you, is to say, okay, you're all right. You can fail, you can do poorly, you're allowed when you're learning. But you eventually have to get to mastery, and you have to maintain that. It's the consistency that will matter eventually, and that gradual progression. So you are scored on a 0 to 4 scale. Right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you will have all that information spelled out. What's a 0, what's a 1, what's a 2, what's a 3, what's a 4. I can generalize it for you. I can tell you a 0 is you're missing. It's you didn't hand anything in, or you didn't give me enough evidence to even evaluate you. A 1 is, you've got the foundations, like definitions, the general vocabulary. You're doing some of that, but you're not really pulling it into any application or any bigger problems. A 2 is, well, you're doing better, right? You've got some of the basics, a little bit more than the basics. Maybe you're starting to apply it into some graphing. Maybe you're starting to pull some of these concepts into some basic problem solving. And then a 3 is, I can see you really got it. You really learned something, but you don't have it completely. You're really not pulling it into like big applications, but you've got all the basic ideas down and even some of the advanced ideas. And then a 4 means you've gone above and beyond. You get it right every time. You can explain yourself well. You can apply this to a wide variety of situations. And I'm generalizing, right? But that's the gist of it. And your job is going to be to provide me with evidence of your level of mastery. And there is no 0.5 or anything. It's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, period. And so, during the course of the year, you're going to be producing work. And you're going to want to keep a record of, here's work that demonstrates I've mastered this. And you want to show that over the course of the year. You're going to be rewarded for improvement over time. You will not be penalized for not knowing things right away. But you have to practice. If you don't practice and use the feedback I give you, then you're not going to improve. That's how coaching works. So I become your physics coach. And again, it's evidence-based, so it's your responsibility to provide me with the evidence that persuades me that you've gotten to whatever level you think you're at.